All right, everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giant sports talk and entertainment. We're doing a video today, this afternoon, because I wanted to talk about the cap space. And I wanted to talk about the actual, I don't want to say actual, but I want to talk about the reality of the Giant cap space. So I felt so strongly about this. I was working on the bikes this afternoon. I got them all out on the driveway. But I stopped what I was doing to record this video. We need to have, as fans, realistic expectations of our cap space. And we need to understand, as fans, what realistic expectations we need to have going forward into 2022, 2023. Now, the reality is right now, we have, of course, tagged Leonard Williams. So he's at the $19.3 million. There is the potential that can go up to $21.4 million depending on his arbitration case that he filed against the Giants last year in reference to being tagged as a defensive tackle instead of a defensive end. So that case is still pending. So right now, the reality is, right now we need to have a week to make some cap moves because we are negative $8 million on the cap space. So that means that we're either going to dump Nate Solder or Kevin Zeitler, or both, to save the cap room. Now, the smart thing, of course, would be to either release Kevin Zeitler, because that saves you $12 million. You have a $10 million cap hit on Nate Solder. So unless Nate is willing to renegotiate his contract to lower his 2021 number, which would make sense, because of the fact that he's more likely going to, you have a $10 million dead cap number, and you're only saving $6 million, you are more than likely going to keep Nate Solder for one more year. And that was the problem with him opting out of his contract, or I should say opting out of the 2020 season, because automatically it put a pause on the contract. So if you dump him, well, you're not going to dump him. I think you're going to restructure, but if you restructure, you may only save maybe $6 million. So more than likely, Kevin Zeitler and his $14 million salary, his $2.5 million cap hit, $12 million, he's going to be gone. Again, that will then push us back into having about $4 million in cap space. But it also now opens up a position in the guard. It opens up the guard position on the line. You are going to have to hope that some of the young guys are going to step up in the guard position and fill in for the guard position, unless you're going to go out in free agency. Unless you are planning to move Nick Gates back over to a guard position, or you're hoping that Shane Lemieux or Will Hernandez may progress. I personally think that Will Hernandez is going to be on the bubble too, because he's got a $3 million salary and it's only like $800,000 in cap space. Dead cap money. So you're going to have to hope that that's going to be the case. And then you're going to have to be hoping the fact that they don't waive Spencer Pulley, because Spencer Pulley at this point in time, of course, he could probably be moved as well, because he's got a $2.7 million salary with no dead cap space. So moves are going to have to be made. And then everyone's like, well, we can just restructure James Bradberry's contract and Logan Ryan's contract. That's not as easy as people think. You have James Bradberry's contract right now, which is $17.2 with a $19 million dead cap number. And it's the same thing with Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez is more of a manageable $10 million, but with a $9 million dead cap number. So you're going to ask players in their second year to restructure their contract to sign Leonard Williams. You are going to have to extend those contracts, possibly throw in more guaranteed money at those two guys just to maybe get $4 or $5 million back. And then the logistical problem is you are stretching out your available cap space in 2022, 2023, and 2024. And you have players such as Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones coming up in those years. So if you feel that these guys are your franchise guys and they're going to be your cornerstone of your offense, you have to play. And I've said this a million times, we have to play long ball in reference to the cap space. We have to keep our eyes going forward. We have to look at that, because of the fact that you don't want to be in cap hell when your potential franchise running back and franchise quarterback are up in regards to their contracts. You don't want to do that. So the question, and then everyone's like, well, we got to go sign the kid out of Detroit, man. We got to go get him. Got to go after him. Why would, and everyone's like, well, he'll just take more money on the back end. Okay, you're entering into free agency as a wide receiver. This is your big free agent year. This is probably going to be your only really big free agent year. You are going to go to a team that's going to backload your contract? Or are you going to go to a team like Miami where you can play in the sun with a guy that looks like he's going to be better than Daniel Jones and get your money up front? We need to think about realism. You sign Leonard Williams. If you have a $40 million cap number and you sign Leonard Williams, you are taking probably more than half of your cap space away. Even if he signs and comes in at $16 million, let's say, this first year. And that's the thing. He's probably going to have to come in like between 14 and 16 million that first year. So you're going to have to give him a larger signing bonus. And then you have to look at the top. You have to look over your active contracts right now. The rule of 51. A lot of these numbers are not inclusive, especially if you go to like Sports Track or anything like that. They are not inclusive of the rookie pool. So these are things that we all have to think about. And I know, as Giant fans, we want to make this big splash in free agency. We want to bring these guys in. We want these guys to come into this team, help us progress, help us move forward, help us get to the next level. But realism at some point in time needs to then be understood. You have to think realistically. You sign Leonard Williams, you're letting Dalvin Tomlinson walk. You sign Leonard Williams, you are not going after a premier wide receiver. You are going to get Curtis Samuel, who was Sterling Shepard 2.0. That's what you're going to get. Why? Because that's all you have money for. It drives me insane when I go on Twitter and it's like, we got to sign this guy. We got to sign this guy. Okay, great. Where's the money coming from? Your big pitch in free agency is going to be, come to the Giants so we can give you less money up front. I'm a free agent. I'm not looking at that going, wow, man, that sounds like a great idea. I've been waiting 5-6 years to get that big payday. I'm going to wait and take that money later. Realistic expectations. That's what we need as fans. And I will tell you this, as a passionate Giant fan, your life will be much better if you just have realistic expectations about this team and about what they can do in free agency. Because from a standpoint of finances and practicality, you have multiple holes on the offense in your line, your skill positions. You have holes still on your defense in your defensive backfield in the CB2 position and your linebacking core. And you are going to be opening up a spot in reference to the defensive tackle position. And then you're going to have Dexter Lawrence coming up in a few years as well. So you are taking away your player right now, Dalvin Tomlinson, who offers first-level protection for your linebackers, for a guy that is the king of the almost sacks and may potentially revert back to being that player. Because if we watch history in the NFL, your first 5 seasons should negate what your best 6th season is, because of the fact that those first 5 seasons are what you are, not what you're going to be. It's an aberration. Players have career years. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in basketball. We've seen it in football. So as fans, we need to understand, if you sign Leonard Williams to this big free agent contract, which they look like they're going to, he is more than likely going to eliminate the Giants from doing anything in practicality in free agency. Because right now, like I said, we got a week to clear the cap space. So there will be moves coming along. There's going to be guys waived. I don't think there's going to be many like, ooh, shocking, they waived this guy. I don't think that's going to happen. But I am saying this. We need to focus on practicality, and we have to understand, okay, we are more than likely going for second-tier free agents. And some of these second-tier free agents may not even be as good as the guys that we have on the team now. But we need to fill the roster. There is just so many players that we can get in the draft that you're going to hit on, and there's only so many players that we can practically bring in from free agency. And I think that's, as fans, we need to understand realistic expectations. You think you're going out and getting these wide receivers and all these other players. You're not. You're not. You can't. You can't be $8 million under the cap and still have to release players just for your cap hold on Leonard Williams. I guarantee you Leonard Williams is not taking any less than 14 to 16 million up front this year. Why would he? He's got the Giants over a barrel. And that's why people are like, well, the Giants were smart by putting the cap on him because then they can trade him. No. They should have let him go to the open market. Why? Because you know you're going to have to pay him anyways. So see what the market dictates his value. Don't make up the market. And that's what the Giants do a lot recently. They make up their own market for free agents, not looking at what the value on the market is. The only time they didn't do that recently was with Marcus Golden. Everyone was like, got to sign Marcus Golden, $10 million. I kept saying, no, they're not going to sign him over on 4.5 again. Why? Because the market didn't dictate the value. And that's the problem. You're gonna overpay for Leonard Williams. You really are. And so unless we hit some big time, unless Dave Gettleman pulls off a free agent class like he did in that 1 year in Carolina when they won 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl, when we got all those older free agents and all of them just seemed to play well. That's what you're going to need to find. That's what we're going to need to have. Because you are not going to get the big-time free agents to come here by telling them, and this is your sales pitch, I'm going to give you less money now but more money up front. I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. That's what you're going to have to tell them. And I just hit the microphone because I'm just so fired up again today. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could subscribe, if you ring the bell, you think another means, that'd be awesome.